Well, good morning, Lionhearts. It's your old pal Jordan the Lion, and we are in Gainesville, Florida today. I made it to a beautiful bed and breakfast last night. I had the entire Victorian house to myself. Take a look at this place. Isn't this amazing? Oh yeah, the whole place to myself so that I could wake up bright and early today to go do a great vlog for you guys. But let me show you the outside of this place, and I'll tell you what we're doing. So this beautiful blue house was all mine last night. What an amazing stay. Now what are we doing today? Well, this place was the perfect place to get me in the mood for this. So the reason that we stayed in Gainesville was because I wanted to do a movie location vlog today on one of my all-time favorite movies starring Michael J. Fox and Julie Warner. It takes place in the movie Grady, South Carolina, but it's actually here in Micanopy, Florida. So we're gonna go off and explore Doc Hollywood today. Daze with Jordan the Lion, it begins right now. So let's head off and go do that now. But I would be lying if I said I wasn't gonna miss this place, because who wouldn't love a fireplace of a lion? Amazing. Let's roll. So our first location is right outside of Evanston, and it's up this little pathway right here. This is where the judge's house was. That Ben Stone veers off the freeway, takes those back roads, and then when he's trying to go around the turn, almost hits the cow, goes off road, and ends up out here. So in this movie, Michael J. Fox plays Ben Stone, who is a doctor in Washington, D.C. He has a big interview in Beverly Hills, and he's driving across country to go have this interview. He ends up, like I said, taking a drive off the freeway into the back roads and ends up veering off course into right where we are right now. So when Ben Stone veers off, his Porsche goes right through here and wipes out the judge's new fence that he's building at the time. You have the sheriff car right over here and the judge is over here, and you see that same telephone pole in the shot. So he ends up driving pretty much right up through here, and you can see these kind of plants and everything, and there's the house that's in the background. So you end up seeing, while he's out here talking to them, telling them that he's trying to, you know, get to Beverly Hills and that they can work this out. And then you have Melvin and his buddies show up, and they start looking at the car, and they're noticing all the damage and everything, and then the dog gets in the car. It's a really great scene. So the Porsche would have actually been like driven right up into here. That's crazy to see this after all these years. So what ends up happening is he finds out that the one of the guys that is right here painting the fence is the judge of Grady, and the judge ends up sentencing Ben Stone to, I believe it starts out at 16 hours of community service. He starts objecting and then he gets 32. So he ends up getting stuck in Grady. Plus, since he wrecked right here, his car needs to be worked on. He's got an old classic Porsche that's hard to get parts for, so Melvin and his assistant are gonna put that together. So cool to see this. Think that that fence would have been out here and everything. This was not an easy location to track down, but that is definitely the house that we see in the background. I'll put some matchup shots here for you. Coming out and vlogging places like this makes life so much fun for me. I love seeing these kind of things. off to Ben Stone's hospital. There's our sign. I can't tell you how excited I am to do this vlog today. I love this movie. I've just made it to town, and the historical museum here has a beautiful Coca-Cola ad on the side of it. We're definitely gonna step back in time here. Welcome to downtown Grady, my friends. This is where we first see that Grady sign off to the right. So right here is our first shot. Ben Stone gets dropped off in the rain to start his community service at what was then, in the movie, this was the Grady Hospital, but even then, this was House of Hirsch. The Hirsch family has owned this for a long, long time. They live on the second floor, and the first floor is an antique store. You can definitely tell that this is where that Grady sign for the hospital was right there. So many amazing scenes in the movie happen here. So his first scene is running up this walk in the rain. All right, my friends, I planned on trying to do this like the movie and match up all the shots and everything, but this is not working out. They are closed and nobody in town seems to know why, and when I call their phone number, it says it's disconnected. So I'm gonna have to do the vlog a little bit differently than I planned. I'm gonna do it as a town tour and show you everything in town that was used in the movie. How about that? So inside here was, if you walked right in, immediately when you walked in was where Nurse Packer's station was, that she would always clock him in and everything. And then the hallway went straight down through. They put a fake glass door in the back to make it look like it was actually deeper. But when you started walking down the hallway, Nurse Packer's station's right here, right directly across from it was the waiting room, which is where Ben Stone is using the payphone to make the phone call, and that's also where that sliding door is that he finds out who Lou is and has his arm resting up there, and it starts sliding. Then you walk straight down the hallway, and to the right is the examination room. That's where, when Ben first comes in, that's where Nurse Packer puts him in there to sleep. And that's also where Mr. Tidwell has all that Bisquick and all that crap all over his toe that Ben's cleaning off. And across the hall, so if that was over here, directly across the hall is Doc Hogue / Ben Stone's office. That's where he's reading the letters to the people who can't read. That's where he's wiping off the ladies' glasses. Lots of stuff happens inside here, and I was hoping to match up where everything was and just kind of show you all the exact things, because they do turnaround shots showing the inside of this doorway when Mr. Tidwell brings Ben his pig because he feels bad. So since we can't do all those matchup shots because it's closed, and it's a bummer because they actually still have the, or at least last I knew, they had the hospital sign that used to be right here inside there. All right, it took us a little bit of time, but we're pretty close to our next filming location. So our next filming location is here at the Camp Shands Boy Scout reservation, the lake scene. I'm so glad the gates were open. I weren't sure if they would be. All right, well, we've made it to the actual lake that they filmed this on, but the downside is I can't get to the actual spot because it's been so far overgrown that I actually went to the ranger station because I was trying to find it and ask him, and he said it's so far overgrown, as a liability, we don't let people back there anymore. So unfortunately, the water scene was here. This is where Ben Stone has been brought out to the cabin. The cabin was built out here right on the side of the lake, and it was made just for this movie. They ended up leaving it here. Now, the whole reason that this scene actually takes place is kind of funny. It really has no play in the story at all other than what they wrote it in for. Ben Stone is brought out to this cabin. He's going to spend the night here, and he's with those 3 elderly women who are making that friendship quilt, and they say to him that there's a myth that whoever sleeps, the first person to sleep under a friendship quilt has a dream about the person they're gonna marry. And so Ben has this dream of seeing who eventually is Lou. He sees Lou walking out by the water, this water, and then he wakes up. Well, he sees her popping up out of the water, and then he wakes up under the friendship quilt, walks out, sits by the water, and then sure enough, Lou pops up out of the water. Beautiful Julie Warner. Now, the reason that they put this scene in here is to avoid a G rating. They were afraid that this movie would get a G rating because the movie really had nothing nothing in it. There was not much, there was no cussing or anything to give it anything other than a G rating. And they said back then that was a kiss of death for a movie, especially something with Michael J. Fox. They knew it was going to do well in the theater and they didn't want to take that chance. So this was the actual lake where they filmed that scene. And then later on, we see this scene when Ben Stone is walking his pig by the lake, and then I would assume that this is the lake that they filmed that scene where Ben Stone and Lou are out kissing and the fish start jumping into the boat. Now the ranger told me something interesting. He said he could never really understand why they would go through all the trouble of building that out here. It was like a pain to get it out here even then. He said they had to come back and do reshoots and everything, but he did confirm that this was the location. But like I said, I said, you know, if I didn't drive to it, would it be okay for me to go hike to it? And he said, we just can't allow anybody out there. It's just, it's far too overgrown for it now. So this is the actual water, but unfortunately I can't get to the actual specific scene. And you'll notice a boat out there. Kind of reminds me of that scene when Ben's walking the pig and all of a sudden the guys on the boat start yelling to him, and he tells them to be careful with the hooks, and they say, oh, don't worry, we're using a different kind of bait, and all of a sudden you see the water blow up because they're using dynamite. And I'm gonna level with you guys. One of the reasons they told me that they wouldn't let me go out there is because since it's a Boy Scout reservation, they're going through bankruptcy right now, so they don't want to take the chance of any kind of lawsuits for anything. Bummer. Now when we first see Nick Nicholson take Ben Stone out to the cabin, he spends the night out there, and then Nick brings him back in. We see the car come making a turn from this road right here towards us, and they make that turn. First place he takes Ben Stone to is right here where they built the cafe. Now, they built that because they didn't have anything in town that worked for exactly what they wanted, but a lot of really great scenes happen here. This is where they try to offer Ben Stone the job for $30,000 to become the town doctor here in Grady, and he's telling them that basically they can't afford him. And that's also where he's finding out about Vailula. He finds out that she's a vegetarian in there because he has his plate of food. She says, do you mind taking your slab of meat away from my table? It's giving me the willies. Then we find out there that's where we meet, like Bridget Fonda comes in there and she's asking him all about Hollywood and all this stuff about him. So they built that all there just for the movie in that vacant lot. You can see with this shot, how I was telling you, I think that where they put this sign is where they have the statue of the guy with the squash. You can see Nick pulling in right here. You can see part of the mechanic shop, and then where that empty lot is where, of course, the cafe is. Now we have another scene here. This is where the kid comes in. He had been sampling his daddy's straw or whatever, and they think that there's like something wrong with his heart. So Ben Stone is telling Nurse Packer to get Doc Hogue up. They need to have a helicopter come in and help this boy, so they're bringing him out on a gurney out here. And then we see Doc Hogue come tearing through town into here, and he pulls up right here and he comes out and says, you're scaring these people out of their minds. Then realizes that the kid just basically had tobacco, and then pops open that Coca-Cola. Says that'll be 65 cents. He goes, good job, Hollywood. You just about opened up this boy's chest for a case of diarrhea. So you also see this when Ben Stone is finally leaving town, and the town chips in to buy him a plane ticket because his car got destroyed. it's been repaired, but then destroyed again when he's trying to deliver the baby. So you see everyone lined up out here when he's saying his goodbyes, walking out. So you have like Nurse Packer and all the people from town. And then once he gets down to here is where Bridget Fonda plants the big kiss on him. And the sheriff car would have been waiting right here. And he gets in the car and takes off from town. Now you also see this, since we're right here, I'll go right into this. You see this, that's actually the butcher shop. And you see, towards the end of the movie, you see Melvin standing right here looking at the destroyed Porsche that's parked right here. You can see all that in the background. This is where the town would have been saying goodbye to him. Now, since I mentioned that that was the butcher shop, let's go over and talk about that scene, or those scenes. So right here, when he first gets the pig, we see him walking the pig, and that's when everybody's going, "Nice pig, Doc, thank you." Comes right through here and everything. But then he walks over to the mechanic shop, and they don't take card. So cash only, he doesn't have the cash. So they say, "Is that your pig?" And they offer to swap the part that he needs for the pig. So he ends up doing that. Lou eventually starts asking about the pig. So we see that scene where she asks, "Hey, who's watching your pig tonight?" Where he's actually running back down through here to get his pig because he has ran to the mechanic and they said that Melvin traded his pig to the butcher. So we see Ben Stone come running right through here, runs into the butcher shop, and then we see the butcher on this side of the glass, Ben on this side of the glass trying to negotiate, and he's the same deal. Doesn't take credit, so they have to work out a trade. So Ben is in the back cutting the meat, using his doctoring skills for that, but he gets Jasmine his pig back. Now you see a lot of this in the movie, and at the time of shooting, right before they went to shoot, they had made deals with all the businesses here in town, paid them and everything so that they could use their storefront in the movie. However, right before they started shooting, one of the stores decided they wanted more money and asked for it, couldn't get it, and so they put a big sign up outside that said "Welcome to," and it had the name of this town and Florida right there on it, which would have destroyed the whole myth of it being Grady, South Carolina. So they ended up paying them more to remove it, and that this went to court and everything. They had to take the sign down. It's crazy. Now we get this shot right here as the mayor is hanging the squash festival sign up here, and he's on the ladder. Ben Stone comes walking down here with his pig, and they have a conversation right here. You can see all those businesses right there in the background. And then this street is also where they have the parade, the Grady parade. So you see everybody walking down through here. Melvin, the guys are dressed up like the bees doing the dance and everything, which is weird because at the beginning you see that the mayor is wearing that squash outfit, and he says that he's doing it, getting ready for the parade or whatever. And then when he's in the parade, he's riding in the car with Bridget Fonda. So kind of weird, doesn't make any sense, but they have that parade here and everything. And we see Julie Warner and her daughter walking the pig right here. And the music is really nice and momentous right there, real emotional. And that's where Michael J. Fox is standing up at the hospital. Actually, I'll show you. He's over here looking from between these pillars over here, watching her. So it's kind of covered up here, but he's actually, let's see if I can do this right. He's actually standing right here by that pillar. So this is freaking amazing. This was Melvin's garage. How cool is that? Oh man, you see Ben Stone always walking from this way. Come check on his car. Now, check this out. When he comes by to ask about Jasmine, that time, He comes over and the doors are locked over here, so he runs over and pushes the call box. Call box is still there. Look at that. Melvin, where's Melvin? Oh, what did Melvin do with my pig? He took my pig to the butcher? Yeah, right there. Alright, so I just came in and this is where the garage was. He just told me the reason that we couldn't get in the House of Hirsch, which was the hospitals, because that gentleman has a day job and he's only open on the weekend. So this is a Wednesday for all of you watching. So back there is where Melvin would have come walking out with his bee costume on, and Ben Stone's car would have been broken and taken apart into pieces right there. Melvin, this car was my life. And they would go through that door into Melvin's office. How cool is that? There's Melvin's office. And that's right exactly where Melvin was telling Ben Stone about the part he could get on the computer. Actually, it would have been turned around, but... So since this is where they were working on his car, you can imagine that red Porsche that would have been right here. When they tell him that it's ready and he makes his last minute decision to bolt out of town after talking to Hank, aka Woody Harrelson, Ben Stone comes from the other side of that window, and that's the window that he breaks out. He breaks this bottom window out to open up the latch and everything, and then he comes in and gets his car. So cool of that guy to let us see everything, and he said these are the actual original doors. Those are the original doors we see in the movie. He likes the movie, you could tell. He knew everything about it, so really neat. Thanks to the Outpost for letting us go in there and film. So if you come here to visit and see this for yourself, don't forget that the call box is right there, and then Michael J. Fox would have broken out this window right here. So then after the festival in the evening, we see Ben Stone walking down through here, and as he walks along, we see him crossing here. Try and match up some of these photos for you. So Ben keeps walking, and then when he gets here, the door is open, and that's where everyone is watching that movie. They're watching the old time movie on the wall, and here he's standing right here. Fortunately, the business is closed. We're here on a weekday, so I think they're just closed. But we'll look inside. Inside of here is where they would have had all those people watching the movie. Back in that back corner is where she was playing the piano and they were doing the music for it and everything, and you could see all the people looking at the movie on the wall over in this direction. Ben's having his moment. That's where he's starting to think, does he really want to be a big city guy? You can actually see him standing in this doorway. Before they made that smaller door, this was all open at the time that he's looking in there. You know, one of the sad things about this movie is that even though it's like a really lighthearted movie, and this is what they say the movie Cars is based off of, this is when, in 1990, this is when Michael J. Fox first started feeling what would later become his Parkinson's disease. He would feel something but wouldn't be diagnosed right away with it. Kind of sad to know that this was the movie that he was feeling it. Right down this road where Ben Stone leaves forever. Except he doesn't. That's right, Bridget Fonda goes out to Beverly Hills, meets up with Ben and tells him that Lou didn't get married. Vailula did not get married. So Ben comes back. And where does he find Lou? The hospital. So again, right here we are, and Vailula comes out and sees Ben Stone right here with his pig. He's standing right here. She says, you came back for your pig? You think your pig's back here wasting away in a one pig town? What makes you think your pig will take you back? And you realize they're of course talking about each other, so all's well that ends well. We see them walk off together with Jasmine the pig right down this street. So your ending credits are pretty much them walking the pig right down this road. And that's the end of Doc Hollywood. Well, Lionhearts, thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed this day, even though we couldn't get inside. I didn't know it was only open 2 days a week. I hope you enjoyed this vlog. This is such a great movie. To me, it still holds up, so go rewatch it if you haven't seen it in a while. Go re-explore the town of Grady, and I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you loved that movie, I hope it takes you back in time. You kind of feel like you were there. Have a great night, everyone. We'll see you all next time from somewhere else here in Florida. Goodbye.